Hey guys, we are in the basement and today we're gonna do part number 3 of the Pac-Man Cabaret Restore. Now I gotta tell you, in that last video, the ending there was a little anticlimactic, and in part 3, I promise you, we are gonna be making some progress in this video. So we're gonna cover a lot of ground in this video. And you know what, we're gonna make some missteps, we're gonna go down some paths that are wrong, but it's gonna be a learning experience and we're all gonna learn something in this video, because I learned something, I learned stuff.
On your mark.
You know, because I don't know everything about Pac-Man. This is the first Pac-Man I've ever owned. I've never worked on a Pac-Man before. So we're gonna learn a lot today about this game and just how it works and the power and all that stuff. So buckle up, it's gonna be a long video, but I think it's gonna be a good one. So, and also, before we move on, I do have to plug my new podcast, Arcade Outsiders, at arcadeoutsiders.com. We do that show now live every Tuesday at 11 p.m. Eastern, or you can subscribe in iTunes and Stitcher and all those good places. It's called Arcade Outsiders. But we have a big announcement to make, because me and my co-hosts are gonna be doing a live show in Boise, Idaho, of all places, at Grinker's Arcade, okay? And I want you guys to come. It's gonna be on October 19th. I think it's a bar. You might have to be 21 to get in. I'm not positive about that. It's called Grinker's Arcade. It's in Boise, Idaho. We're gonna be there on October 19th. I'm going to be there with my camera doing some John's Arcade videos. We're going to be doing a live podcast, a live Arcade Outsiders podcast. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I really hope you guys can make it. Put it on your calendar. I know it's in a weird place, but maybe you live in Idaho. I don't know. Maybe you're watching this, you're like, oh my God, that's 2 blocks from my house. If that's the case, you got to show up. So October 19th, Grinker's Arcade, come meet me and my co-host from Arcade Outsiders, and it's going to be a fun-filled arcade day. In the arcade, they've got 120 games, so this is no slouch of an arcade. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get to the garage and let's get working on the Pac-Man Cabaret. Okay guys, here we are. In the last video of the Pac-Man Cabaret Restoration, we kind of hit a little bit of a snag because I broke the custom IC chip that's on the board. So my buddy Adam came over yesterday and he gave me a couple of these little daughter cards. Because on the Pac-Man PCB you can have either a daughter card, or you can have one of the custom chips. This is the custom chip right here. And when we call these a custom chip, by the way, basically this is a proprietary chip that has a very special function that Namco designed for themselves. And it is a bit of a security chip because it's kind of a one-of-a-kind chip, and pirators or guys that were trying to clone the Pac-Man PCBs could not go out there and just order these chips, because these were Namco proprietary chips. And at some point, Midway was having trouble getting these chips, so they figured out a way to basically replicate what this chip did by reverse engineering it and coming up with this daughter card that basically takes the place of that single chip. So anyway, in the last video, I broke this chip. My buddy Adam gave me a couple daughter cards. We tested them out, and we're still having the same problem. The game is resetting. And let me just plug the game in here real quick just to kind of revisit what it's doing. And let me just show you guys what's happening here. Turn the light off. Okay, you can see here the game is just constantly resetting. It's resetting, it's resetting, and resetting. It's not booting, okay? Now, I did a lot of research on this. Admittedly, I don't know everything or really anything about Pac-Man just yet. I am getting myself up to speed, and thankfully, though, there is a lot of documentation out there about Pac-Man. And actually, if you do a search on Google for Lawnmower Man Pac-Man, Lawnmower Man Pac-Man, you will find a wealth of information, okay? So what I suspect right now is that we have a voltage issue, okay? So we're gonna test the 5 volts. And then the other thing I suspect is that we have dirty, corroded, bad fuse blocks down there because what's happening, how Pac-Man works, that's kind of different than other games, is that we are sending AC voltage directly to this board because this board actually has the power supply built into the PCB, okay? And the voltages, AC voltages are going through these fuse blocks. And if there's a lot of resistance, we can get voltage drops, you know, and basically it's messing with the board, and this board is not able to make the proper 5 volts or the 12 volts that the game needs to function correctly. So one of the recommended things that everybody says is that you have to replace these fuse holders down here, okay? And you kind of just have to do it just so you can rule this out, because you cannot trust these, because these were very, very poorly manufactured. It is an absolute weakness of these games, and you pretty much need to just replace them. But before we do that, I just want to verify the voltages on the board. And following the instructions that I printed here from the Lawnmower Man Pac-Man website, it says here, you know, if you have a wavy pitcher, which we do, okay, no blown fuses, and the filter caps of the power supply are connected securely. That's interesting. The filter caps, oh, it's these guys over here. I think these typically can have bad solder joints. I wonder if we should reflow those. That's an interesting thing. I'm guessing that these are the filter caps, and I guess these get cracked joints all the time. God, should I do that really fast? I guess we should, maybe. Maybe we should follow the instructions here, because it says, and I'm guessing that those are the filter caps. I think they are. And the filter caps of the power supply are connected securely. The problem, okay, is most likely a poor ground. Okay, so there's a yellow strap. And so I don't know where that yellow strap is here on the transformer. I don't see that. I don't see any yellow strap. Now this is a Cabaret. Maybe on the Cabaret there wasn't a yellow strap. So what do we do right now? I think I'm going to try reflowing the solder on there, on those caps. But they're, you know, that's not affecting my 5 volts though. They're saying that would create a wavy pitcher. I can't even get the board to boot right now. I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually test the 5 volts per the instructions on that page. And it says here, you need to troubleshoot the power supply section when your PCB does not have plus 5 volts as measured across capacitors C2 or C3. And if you look here, let's see, here's C2. So we've got the C2 cap right there. And this one right here is C3. And so it's saying that we should measure for 5 volts at these caps to see what's going on. That's going to kind of tell us if the board is getting good 5 volts. So let's get our multimeter and let's see what's going on. I think, let's take a look here. Now, when Adam was here the other day, we actually did test the 5 volts yesterday, and we were getting about 4.5 volts measured on these chips, and this is before I researched anything. So now that I have educated myself by doing some research, let's see what happens when we test this, the 5 volts here. Okay, and so we want to test on this cap right here, C2. And it looks like this is the negative side on here, looking at the band, and this over here is the positive side. So I'm going to go ahead and put my lead. I did turn the game back on here, so the game's on right now. So I'm going to put my, actually the negative goes on this side. So I'm going to put my positive on this side, and being careful, and let's see, we're getting, what's that noise? I'm not getting anything. Let's see, let's try it again. Negative. I can't really see the positive side. I'm not getting anything. Huh. Let's see. Why am I not getting anything? I'm getting a short. Let's see if we reverse the leads. Maybe I... Huh. I'm not getting anything here. Do I have, oh, I don't have it on, duh. Do I not have it on DC volts? No, I didn't. I had it on microvolts AC. What the hell? Duh. All right, so let's actually have our multimeter on DC volts here. All right, so here's our negative, and here's our positive. Wow, we're getting 4.974 now. That's weird because before I was not getting that. Huh. Let's see what's happening. Now we're still not booting though. I am getting 5 volts. So is this board just hosed? That's really weird. I just got 5 volts. I don't know what to make of that. Let's try this again. 4.97 volts. That's good. That's where we need to be. And let's test this guy over here. So, and then this is the other cap you're supposed to test. I think I got the leads backwards. .95. Okay, so we are getting 5 volts. That is bizarre. So I wonder if this board's just bad. I wonder if I need to reseat this shit again. Let me turn this off. The game's turned off right now. I'm just gonna push down on these daughter cards and this ribbon cable. I'm kind of tempted to just get rid of the Miss Pac-Man ribbon cable right now and put Pac-Man ROMs in here. Oh, the joys of arcade games. I'm kind of at a loss right now what I should be doing. Because if I don't have if we have 5 volts, the game should be working. The game plays with vertical humbar. We are getting that. Spec the edge connector. You're looking for, I'm just reading this stuff here. It's basically saying that if you don't have 5 volts and those filter caps are secured, you kind of want to, basically, let me see if I turn this switch off to make sure I don't have test on. Basically, you want to replace the fuse blocks. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah, it's still not booting. All right, let me think about what I want to do right now because I'm wondering if I should replace the fuse blocks, which I think I should do regardless because they're disgusting down there, and I really want to rule that out. Now, it's possible this board is bad because, but I doubt it because this board was working. The last time I used it was only like 5 years ago though. But all right, let me think about this, and we'll be right back. All right, I actually pulled the board off here, and going by what it says in the book here, it talked about the filter caps, and I believe that these right here or that are the filter caps. I think it's these, because I think this is part of the audio amplifier over here. And I was looking at the board, and if I wiggle this cap right here, it is loose, and I believe that is a cold solder joint. So what I'm going to do, and a cold solder joint basically, it looks like it's soldered and connected, but in fact it's actually cracked. And I believe, just judging by the way this is moving here, it just does not really seem like it is connected here. I don't have like a magnifying glass to get in here, but it sure is kind of behaving like a cold solder joint, because if you look over here, none of these, there's no movement in them, okay? This one here, it's loose. It's just, it feels like it's just not connected or secured to that at all. Oh yeah, and look at the bottom here. That is absolutely a cold solder joint. Look at the bottom there. Do you see that? Do you see how the solder, it's kind of a ring around it? So yeah, I think I just discovered something here. I don't know if this is our issue, but I'm gonna fix it right now, and I'm just gonna kind of reflow the solder on this. And again, this was one of the first things, according to the Lawnmower Man website. Oh shit! Don't melt my cord. Stated that you need to do this. So let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna heat this up and throw some solder on here, and hopefully we get a nice, good, solid connection. And I'm going to go ahead and do the other side as well. You know, this is just frustrating because this board was working. I thought I had it made. I'm like, oh, I just used my old Pac-Man board, my old Miss Pac-Man board. Nope, not the case. It does look like there was some work done on this board at one time, because I think that this filter cap, I guess this is the filter cap, I'm guessing. I think it usually is 2 caps, and it looks like they put one here, 2 in a row. And I'm just kind of going ahead here and getting this other side. Okay. And let me just go ahead and inspect the reverse side of that, and it still does not look good. I'm going to go ahead and throw some solder on this side as well. And actually on this side, it doesn't really go anywhere, so because the connection is actually made on this side. Looks like it just goes to a ground here. Yeah, I think this whole thing is a big giant ground plane. So, alright. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of reflow these caps here too. I don't think that these are the filter caps, but because they're kind of big and hanging on here, I'm just going to do it anyway. Probably should put some flux on here because it doesn't want to flow at all. Turn around here. There's like these giant pads on it, but the solder is not flowing. See if we can kind of get in and show you guys what I'm doing. There we go. You know, there's like old solder on here and it just doesn't want to flow. You gotta really heat it up. And I'm just kind of heating this up until I see the solder spread out. Okay. And let's look on the reverse side of these caps. And it looks like it's these two here. So I'm going to hit it on this side too. It actually looks okay. That's a ground. And it looks like this connection is on the other side. And the other cap is this guy. Oh, the big one's right here. Okay. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and plug this board in here and see what happens, if anything. And I did also reseat this and this, just kind of pushed on them. I'm tempted to undo this one and completely reseat it, but alright, I'm going to move the tripod to the back of the cabinet, and let's plug the board in and see if that makes any difference whatsoever. Boy, wouldn't that be great if that's all it was. Okay, let's do that. Alright, I have the PCB back in the cabinet, and let's plug it in and see if we get anything different, because that would be pretty killer if we did. So plugging it in. And no, it's still resetting. Huh. You know, yesterday we actually got the game to boot completely, and we played a game. We started the game, and now it's not doing anything. Just kind of moving this service switch. Doesn't seem to be affecting anything at all. Okay, so what do we do? I still don't trust that 5 volts. It's baffling me because the 5 volts was not there last night when I was testing this, and now it's there. So I guess I kind of want to just go ahead and replace the fuse blocks just so I can rule it out. So let's see what we're getting right now. 4.989. God, we sure are getting 5 volts. There was also some AC tests that we could do according to my printout. Using the AC voltage setting of your multimeter, measure the voltage from D7 unbanded to D8 unbanded as well. If all is well, you should read 14 volts AC. Okay, so that's these two guys right here. There's one, there's two. We're getting 13.14. I'm sure that's probably within tolerance. Next, measure the 18 voltage from D3 unbanded to D4 unbanded, and we're looking for 25 volts, and that's these two up here. Okay, and we're getting 24 volts. So our voltage is fine. I think I have a PCB problem. Okay, so voltages are all good. I mean, I don't think that I can't suspect the fuse blocks right now because, by the way, I wonder if that hum went away. No, it's still there. So I think there's a reset button on this board somewhere. Yeah, it's over here. Let me reset it. See if anything happens. Of course not, because it's constantly resetting. Yeah, the board is just resetting. Okay, so I am not going to give up here. I am going to go research this. I'm going to look on the internet. I'm going to read that Lawnmower Man page, and I'm going to figure out what is going on here. And I'm doing all of this without test equipment because, quite frankly, I'm a bit of a layman when it comes to this. But I know I could figure this out. So, all right, I'm going to go research this, and I'll be right back. Alright guys, I have been playing with the board here for the past half hour, reseating chips and everything I can think of, and I've gotten to this point now, bad ROM 1, okay? So I looked in the manual and ROM 1 is, I think it's 6F on the board, and if we come over here, I think it's this one right here, 6F. Now, I've reseated this chip a whole bunch of times, and it's not changing. It's still saying bad ROM 1. So I think what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to bring this board into my basement, and I'm going to see if this ROM truly is bad. But this is kind of the most stable this game has been since we got it going here, since we started playing with it. And if I take it out of test, I get just a flashing 1. And if I put it in test, it says bad ROM 1. So, is this thing telling the truth? And by the way, to put the game in test, you hit the little self-test switch, which is right here. You just kind of hit that. And when it's not in test, it's just flashing 1. And when I put it in test, it says bad ROM 1. Okay, so I'm going to go along with this. Let's go in the basement and see if we truly have a bad ROM 1. Alright guys, we are in the basement, and so again, we were getting an error, bad ROM 1, and according to the manual, that is ROM 6F, which is this one right here, okay, and I've already started to kind of pull them off. And so what I want to do is, I want to test the ROMs to see if they're bad, and we're going to, basically what we're going to do is, we're going to copy this ROM to a disk, and we're going to run it through a program called Romident, okay? And that's going to tell us that if this ROM matches any known ROM in a database, okay? And there is this huge Romident database. It basically has every game known to man. And so if you get a board and you don't know what it is, you can copy the ROM into the computer and then run the ROM data through this program, and it'll tell you what board. You can also use this tool to diagnose a board to see if the ROM is really good or bad, because if the ROM is bad, you're not going to be able to find the data that's on it in the database, and especially with a Pac-Man. I mean, without a doubt, Pac-Man is in the Romident database. It's one of the most popular games ever. So if we copy this ROM into the computer and then run it through this program, and it says, hey, I don't find a match, well, then we know that that ROM is truly bad. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually read all 4 of these ROMs into the computer, and then run all 4 of them through the Romident and see what it comes up with. And so the ROM that we suspect, according to the game, is 6F, which is MSB that's labeled here. So, all right, let's get started here, and let's geek out in DOS. And so basically, oh, by the way, check this out. So I'm working on the tech monitor, and this is for the Super Sprint. And I found a bunch of toasty parts. One was this cap right here was torched. There's a capacitor, a resistor, sorry, over here that's kind of burnt up. And so I'm waiting for these parts, and I already capped it. I replaced all the capacitors. I did not replace all of the film capacitors. This one here was a film capacitor. And so I'm slowly going through here and replacing everything, but I'm kind of optimistic. Oh, and this giant guy right here looks kind of toasty, and I guess when this one goes here, this is a 1600 volt cap. When this one goes, it takes out this resistor back here, and I can kind of see char marks. So I ordered these parts, and I'm going to replace them soon when they show up, and I'm hoping that once I replace these parts and throw this in the Super Sprint 2, I mean the Sprint 2, the game's going to work. And boy, wouldn't that be great. I mean, I've never worked on a black and white monitor, so I'm optimistic that my work here is going to work. Okay, so anyway, let's get to work over here on this Pac-Man, because I want this to work. And we're going to boot into DOS, because our EPROM programmer, which is over here, this is the EPROM programmer. This is a Needhams EMP-10, and it runs fantastic in DOS, not so well in DOS, in a DOS window in XP. So I boot to DOS when I want to do this kind of stuff, and I like it because it's really nerdy. So, all right, let's okay, let's get a DOS prompt here and get going. All right, so the directory we need to go to is EMP, and we're going to run EMP-10, which is the software. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to select our device, and this time we're going to be reading the data on these EPROMs into the computer using my burner. So we're not going to be burning the ROMs right now. So let me just pop all these ROMs off, and I'm actually going to pop. Remember, A is on the far left, so A, B, C, D is how these go. So I already started popping those ones off, and let's go ahead and pop off the A. And you know, since we're doing this, I'm just going to check all of them. The game's saying that one of them is bad, but you know, since we got the board out, we got the burner hooked up, let's just go ahead and check all of them. So, all right, so I'm just using my little screwdriver here to lift out the ROMs. Okay, so we've got, remember, it goes A, B, C, D. We got to remember that. And actually, I'm just going to take my marker and write A and then D over here, just so I remember where they go. Okay, so to program, or actually to read the EPROM, what do we need to do? Well, the first thing that we need to do is we need to tell the software which kind of device we have. And if you look here on the chip, we have a Hitachi brand, and I can tell by that little logo. And this is a 2532 chip, okay? So we're going to go in here, select device. We're going to, let me kind of zoom in here so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing. Let me actually just back up. So I'm going to go to select device, which is number 5 here. And again, this is the Needhams EMP-10 software that runs in DOS. I have an Athlon 800 computer using, is it serial or parallel? I always forget which kind of port it is. It's one of those old school printer ports, you know. And so I have an old school computer using old school hardware to read old school arcade ROMs in, and it makes a lot of sense, and it works really well. So, all right, we're gonna go to select device, and we're gonna go to Hitachi because that's the brand of chip. And we have a 2532, which is this one right here. And by the way, the number of on the chip is H4N462532G. So how do I know it's a 2532? Well, just by deducing here, it's usually the last set of digits is actually the chip. That's not always the rule, but it seems to me that when I can't figure out the chip, I just kind of focus on, you know, the number that starts with 2 usually is what it is, and that's where that starts, so it's 2532. Okay, so this is the first chip, and this is MSA, which is 6E. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stick this chip into my little reader over here, and maybe we can come up a little bit so you guys can see me doing that. Okay, and to put the chip in, it's pretty simple. We just gotta kind of get it lined up in here. There is a notch on the chip, okay, right here, and you can see right there the notch goes up, and you want to put the chip all the way in towards the bottom, okay, and just like that, okay. And so after the chip is in there, we're gonna come back to our software, and we are gonna say, actually, let's finish selecting our device because it has to initialize the programmer after you select the device. Okay, so now how this works is you got to read the device, the ROM, into the buffer, into the memory, okay? So we're going to say here, read device into buffer, okay? And it's giving you a little warning, don't blah, blah, blah. So we're going to hit enter. Okay, there you go. Device successfully loaded. So now it has sucked the data off that ROM, and it's now sitting in the computer's memory, and we need to save it, okay? And the logical thing here is to go 9, save file to disk, and it won't let you do that. How it works is you press V, okay, and you give it a file name first, okay? And so this ROM is labeled A, okay? So I'm going to call it Pac-A. I'm just giving it a name that makes sense to me, and this is found at 6E, okay? So 6E, okay? And the next one we do with Pac-B, 6F, okay? So we're gonna say, okay, save this file as Pac-A 6E, so that's the ROM that's labeled A at location 6E, and now we're gonna say save file to disk, okay? Okay, and that's it. It just saved it to the root directory of the EMP program here. So I know that. So it just saves it to the root directory that you're in, okay? That was it. It just saved that ROM, okay? So let's go ahead and do another one. And so I'm going to come in here and remove A. And I'm going to keep myself organized. And now we're going to stick B in here, okay? Same way, notch up, put the EPROM all the way to the bottom, okay? And am I all the way to the bottom? Kind of a stretch here. Okay, good. All right, and we're going to come back to our software. Okay, and we don't have to select the device again because these are all the same kind of ROMs. And we're going to go to, again, read device into buffer. Okay, and now we have to save it again, so we're going to press V, and we got to give it a new file name, and this is number B, and B is at 6F. So Pac-B 6F. Okay, and we're going to say 9, save the disk. Bam, it just did it, okay? So now we're going to go ahead and do our next one, which is C. And you can see this is not really very hard to do. That was D I grabbed. Let's grab C. Okay. All right, so we got C, and we're going to go ahead, read device into buffer. Okay, we read it into the buffer. I'm just going to do it again for a reason. Let's give it a name. And this is C. And looking at the board, C is at 6H. Okay. 6H. Okay. All right, and we're going to... and now we're... Actually, did I read it into the buffer? I did. Let's do it again. Actually, read device into buffer. Okay, and now we're going to hit 9. Okay, that just saved C. And now we're going to go ahead and do D. And so I'm going to grab D here, stick her in. Oops. Okay. And same deal. We're going to go read device into buffer. Okay, and now we're going to give it a file name. And that is Pac-D, and that is at location 6J, and that's using the coordinates on the board. We got letters up on one axis and then numbers on the other. Hit enter, press 9 to save it to the disk. Bam. Okay, so now we have copied all 4 of those ROMs to the disk. They're sitting in my root directory of my EMP. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to boot into DOS I'm gonna copy them to a compact flash card because I don't have this thing hooked up to the internet, and we're gonna move the files over to my Mac on this compact flash card. So I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. Actually, I'm just gonna boot into Windows, and let me copy them over to the Mac, and then we will compare them with the Romident website. Okay, so I will be right back in a second. Okay guys, we are on the Mac here, and I have copied the files over, and so I have the files on my desktop right here. I just copied them over with the little compact flash card. So I've got Pac A, 6E, Pac B, 6F, Pac C, 6H, and Pac D, 6J. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to use the web interface version of Romident. Now, they have a DOS version that I could have ran. I actually had no luck running the DOS version on my XP machine. I don't know if I have the wrong version of DOS or what. So what we're going to do is I want you guys to just go into Google here, and just type Romident, okay? R-I-M-I-D-E-N-T, okay? And the first thing that comes up is web-based Romident, okay? So if you guys can see this here. And what this is going to do is we're going to basically just select our files one at a time. And I've got them all on the desktop. So let's do A first. So that's 6E, okay? So we selected our file. And now we're going to hit submit, and if it finds a match in the database, it'll tell us, okay, it did, okay? It says, yeah, this is Pac-Man, okay? This is 6E Pac-Man. It says here on the left, actually, let's zoom in here. So what it's telling us here is that this exact ROM appears in all these different ROM versions, okay? We've got, and these are the MAME file names, the zip file names, or the ROM names. We've got Pac-Man A, okay, which is Pac-Man A. We have Pac-Man F, which is a Midway speed up hack ROM. We have plain old Pac-Man, which is Pac-Man Midway. It also appears in Miss Pac-Man with speed up, Miss Pac Attack, and Miss Pac-Man. So those are kind of like bootlegs of Pac-Man. So this ROM, because Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man are virtually the same, there's only a couple different character ROMs. These ROMs would be the same on Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man. So, okay, so it's saying, yes, this is I know what this ROM is. It is from Pac-Man, and it's 6E. And you know what? That's correct. So that tells me that this ROM is good, okay? And so let's go on to the next one here, and let's go to B, which is 6F. Now, this was the ROM that the game was saying was wrong. The game was saying that Pac B 6F was wrong. So if right now it says the file is good, that means we have something else going on. Maybe the socket is bad on the board, or there's a cold solder joint. So let's go ahead and hit submit and see what happens with this. And bam. Okay, look at that. It did not find a match, okay? It says game, Moz. There's nothing below it, okay? Nothing matches this, which is actually very good, because that tells me that the board was telling us the truth, that this ROM is bad. And this ROM is, in fact, bad, because nothing matches. There's no ROM like this in the ROM database. That is awesome, actually. So we're going to burn that ROM. Okay, so let's go ahead and check the other ROMs. Let's check C, which is at 6H. Okay, and let's hit submit here. And, okay, bam, 6H. Yep, it says, yep, this is a good match here. We know what it is. It's 6H. Okay, awesome. Okay, so that ROM is good. And let's check the last one, which is Pac D, which is at 6J. Okay, we're going to hit submit here. And bam, look at that. It says, yes, this is a good ROM. I know what this is. This is the ROM that's at Pac-Man 6J on all these different ROM sets. Okay, so now we need to burn a, well, we need to burn, what was it, a 6F, okay? So I need to get a set of Pac-Man ROMs, which actually I don't have, okay? Now listen, we're going to go and find the MAME ROMs. I'm okay doing that because, as you can see, I own the hardware, and I'm just looking to repair my board, okay? And the file I want is going to be either one of these. These are all the zip file names, okay? So I want basically pacman.zip, okay? Because that's the Midway Pac-Man ROM, okay? So we're going to go out there and we're going to try to find pacman.zip, and I suppose I could just type that into Google because all these files are zipped. The file names are zipped. So I typed in pacman.zip, and here it is on cool ROM. Okay. And let's go ahead and let me zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we found pacman.zip. I don't want to click the wrong thing. Click our sponsor while your thing downloads. All right, so we're getting a little commercial here. We had to go into the deep, dark, ugly areas of the internet here. Okay, so I just downloaded it. Okay, so now we have it. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to make sure that they gave me a legit ROM here. Okay, so I've got it over here. So here's Pac-Man 6F. Okay, which is what we need. Okay. So let's go back to Romident. Okay. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to compare the MAME ROM that we just downloaded to Romident, just to make sure I just got a legit ROM. Okay, so let's do pacman.6f. That was our problem ROM, and I'm choosing it from our MAME zip folder and hit submit. And okay, yep, yep, Pac-Man Midway. Okay, so that is a legit 6f. Okay, and that's from the pacman.zip file, which it's saying right here. Okay, all right. So I feel confident that I got a good Pac-Man 6f file. So now we want to burn this to a ROM, and so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to copy this file over to my PC, and I'm going to do it with the compact flash. It's really crude, but probably should just hook up an Ethernet cable to that eventually. So let me go ahead and copy 6F, and let's go into. Actually, I'm going to copy all of this just so I have it in case I need to do some other troubleshooting. So let's go to desktop, hit copy. Here's my, right there. Okay, so let's, I'm going to go ahead and copy these files over to the PC, and let's talk about burning a ROM. Okay, we are back in DOS here, and we're ready to burn our ROM. Now, here's the thing. I don't have any 25 blank 30, any blank 2532 EPROMs. So I'm going to have to erase this one, and I'm going to have to hope that I can indeed erase it. So to erase this, and I got to make sure I'm doing the right one, so F is B, okay? So I need to take off this little sticker here, okay, which is going to reveal a window, okay, like so. And if you guys have seen my other videos, I've done this before. So I'm removing this sticker, okay. And I'm actually might try reusing that sticker. Okay, and so I revealed this little window. Now we need to erase the corrupt, bad data that's on here. And what's happened here, it's probably just bit rot, you know, because this board worked 5-6 years ago, but I've had it in storage all this time, and you know the data on this ROM it just went away. The ones and the zeros have died. Okay, and so we've got corrupted data on here. So what we're going to do right now is we are going to erase this EPROM. So we're going to do that in my EPROM eraser. Let me show you guys how to do that. Alright guys, I am going to actually share something with you. As I was getting ready to erase this chip, I noticed that there was a bent leg on it, okay? One of these legs was completely bent in, okay? And it looks like when I read this chip into the buffer, the leg was bent in and it was not making contact with the reader, okay? So I went ahead and I reread this in and I went and did the ROM ident on it, and this chip is actually good. So all along, the problem with this chip is when I reseated the EPROMs, I bent the leg on the chip, and this chip is in fact good. So we just went through all of that for nothing because one of these legs was bent and it wasn't making contact in the board, which is why this chip was being read as bad in the board. So, guys, what did we learn here? Well, we learned that what we did a whole lot of work to discover that we only bent to discover we bent a leg on the chip. But we did learn something about Romident and reading and comparing and all that, so I think it was a worthy exercise. However, it is not going to be the solution to our problem right now, so I'm sorry. You know what? I'm doing this live without a net, and you don't know what's going to happen. And you know what? I make mistakes. I am a human being here, and I made a mistake, and I bent a leg when I was reseating the chips, and the leg stayed bent when I read it in, and so that's why we got a bad read. That's why the data was showing as being bad when in fact it was really good. It's just that all these legs were not making contact in our reader, so it didn't get a good read. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these chips back in, and we're going to go back to the garage, and we're going to see what, if anything, different happens. I know, kill me. All right, we're back in the garage here. I went ahead and put the board in here. All the ROMs were reseated and properly put in with their legs properly in the holes and no bent legs. So let's see what's different now. So I've reseated this stuff now quite a bit, so I'm plugging it in. Uh-oh, that's different. Oh boy. Now we've got this. This game is gonna be the end of me. So, what is that craziness? Let's see here. What has changed? Make sure these daughter cards are in. Okay, they're in. Everything is in the right direction. Nothing is upside down. All right, let's try it one more time. I'm determined to get this to work tonight. That was better. One of the daughter cards. We've got something totally different. We've got F's and 9s. Look at this. What does it mean? F's, 3s, and 7s, and 9s. What does it mean? I don't know. Let me test the voltages again. Let's see if we still have 5 volts down here. Is this like the blind leading the blind right now? I hope not. All right, let's see if what kind of voltages we come up with. Do we still have 5 volts? I don't trust the power supply on this. I don't know. It just feels like anything's possible right now with this. Okay, so let's go ahead and test the 5 volts, and we're gonna do it on this cap right here. .99. Doesn't get any better than that. All right, guys, I need to research this and figure out my next move because I'm at a bit of a loss right now. Be right back. Okay, guys, I was talking to my friend Mark on chat here, and I was telling him I'm getting this screen full of numbers and all that, and he said that the game was booting. It's just the service switch must be on or off, and I would hit the service switch here on over here, and no matter what, you know, if I had it on or off, nothing was changing. So it got me thinking, well, maybe there's something wrong with the wiring, okay? And so I wiggled the harness a little bit back here, and actually right now it's kind of leaning, but I wiggled that harness, and then I come up front, and voila, the game is working. So it's the harness, it's the edge connector, and these games are notorious for the edge connector going bad, and that's what's happening right here. Now you'll notice the sprites are all messed up. That's okay, that's expected right now, because I pulled the Miss Pac-Man daughter board off. And so it's booting into Pac-Man, but we still have the Miss Pac-Man ROMs in here, the character sprites. So it's kind of like right now it's a combination between Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, so it's just very confused. So I think when we burn those two Pac-Man character ROMs and put that on the board, it's going to clean that up right now because it doesn't know what game to do. So why don't we... you know what? Let's coin up here and let's just kind of play some demented Pac-Man here with some weird sprites. But look at that. See that? I gotta tell you guys, when I heard that sound, I was rather excited because it's freaking working, man. This was a pain in the ass. I don't know what. So, all right. So I learned some things though. So. I definitely need to repin the edge connector, which is okay because I bought the kit to do that. And I was planning on doing it. But you can see we've got Miss Pac-Man ROM character sprites. So the game's just very confused right now. It doesn't know if it's Pac-Man or Miss Pac-Man. But God, this is actually getting me a lot excited here, guys. I'm feeling really motivated now to kick ass on this and get this done because I just love Pac-Man. I want this in the basement. All right, so what are we gonna do next? Well, we still got a little bit of hum. And I think I'm going to replace the fuse blocks. And I also, we're going to repin the edge connector. I also need to adjust this monitor. It's all out of whack. Might rejuve it too. Picture's not that bad, but it's not perfect. The colors are off. I also just got a message on Clav that a member there, whose name is escaping me now, I'm sorry, but I will definitely give you credit in the video here soon, but a member on Clav just told me that he found a monitor frame, the monitor frame that I need, and he wants to send it to me. So looks like I can undo this Frankenstein monitor frame thing I did and install the correct G07 13-inch frame. God darn it, I'm happy. This is working. So. All right, so that is a success. It works. It's alive. And we just got to fix some things here now. And I want to get the electronics really squared away. I want to repin that. I want to put a whole new edge connector on there. I want to burn the correct Pac-Man character ROMs. Because the other 4 ROMs that we were dealing with were the program ROMs. So the sprite data is on those other 2 ROMs that we didn't test. And let me show you the edge connector. So right here, I got this from Bob Roberts, and Bob is the best. He's got all these parts. So we're going to basically replace this edge connector that's right there. And that's going to give us a much better contact to the board. And we're probably going to do a little bit of... we're just going to kind of address the edge connector on the board too. So we're going to replace this plug that plugs into the board with new pins. And that's going to give us a really good tight connection, better than we have now, because the weak point on these games is the fuse blocks. And as we see now, and also it's pretty well known, that edge connector is also a big weak point. So... I am pretty damn happy right now, I have to say, because we got Pac-Man. We're playing Pac-Man. All right, guys. All right, guys, we are going to be swapping out these 2 chips right here. We verified that these ROMs are okay, and we don't have to change these because on Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man, all of these ROMs that are underneath this daughter card here, these 4 ROMs are all the same between Miss Pac-Man and Puckman and all that, and I'll actually show you guys that in a second. But these sprite ROMs right here, these character ROMs, these are not the same between Miss Pac-Man and Pac-Man. Remember, this was originally a Miss Pac-Man board, and we're going to convert it now to a Pac-Man. And so we need to swap out these two ROMs by burning the Pac-Man character data. Now, we're going to need that character data, and we're going to go back on the internet here to get that file because I don't have it. And we also need to make sure we're getting the right file. Now, if you remember, we downloaded that pacman.zip file, which I have over here. And if you look at pacman.zip, it's missing the two files that we need, okay? Because it only has 6E, 6F, 6H, and 6J. It is actually missing the two character ROMs that we need, which are 5E and 5F, okay? And it's missing those because MAME doesn't include all of the ROMs in every set if there is a parent, okay? So the Midway version is a child to the parent, which is the original version of this ROM, which was the Namco Pac-Man. And if you remember, when we talked about Pac-Man before, it was originally called Pac-Man in Japan, and when they brought it over here, they rebranded it as Pac-Man because they didn't want people changing the P into an F. And so anyway, so Midway customized only 4 of the ROMs for their version of Pac-Man and Miss Pac-Man, and they left the character ROMs alone, which is 5E and 5F. So now to get those, we need to go back to the parent, which is Pac-Man, okay? And let me show you this website here. This is this website is called, you know, I don't even know how to say this. Is it Solvaloo? Solvaloo.com, which I guess is a old Namco game. So if you go to this website, it's solvalou.com, and they have this section that is on arcade ROMs, okay? And so we're going to hit P here because we want to go to Pac-Man. And so we're going to come down to Pac-Man. We're going to select Midway, and it's going to basically tell us where those 5E and 5F files are that we're missing are. Let me kind of center this a little more. This is kind of a wide site. Okay, so we right now are running the pacman.zip files, which is right here, okay? If you look in here, okay? And so the pacman.zip files are right here, and these are the 4 files that we used to verify that our 6E, 6F, 6H, and 6J worked, okay? Now the files that we're missing are the 2 below it, which are 5E and 5F, and there's also PROMs below it there and a sound chip. But we're concerned about the graphics chips, which are 5E and 5F, okay? Now if you look at the top here, it says that everything that is green, that it has a green block behind it, is unique to that set of ROMs or that version of the game, okay? So Midway Pac-Man has, these 4 are unique to it, okay? And everything in red are the same across all versions, okay? So that means that Pac-Man 5E and 5F are exactly the same as Midway Pac-Man 5E and 5F according to this little cheat sheet right here, okay? So that means then that we could take 5E and 5F from Pac-Man and use them in the Midway one. And so why don't we go ahead then and download Pac-Man. So the file right name is up here. It's called pacman.zip, okay? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to download, it's called just Pac-Man, but the file we're going to be needing is pacman.zip because everything in MAME is in a zip file. That's just how it works. So when you're searching for these files on the internet, you want to search for the zip files with the file name. So we're going to go ahead into Google here, and we're going to search for pacman.zip because that is the file that we need for 5E and 5F. And here it is again, first hit, and it's ROM Nation, and I'm going to go ahead and download this ROM and enter the code above. Okay, again, you know what? I've got the hardware, guys. This, you know, I'm trying to fix the hardware and I need this data. So, so we're going down into the deep, dirty, filthy corridors of the internet to get these files, but we just don't have another choice. And we're using them for good purposes here. So, okay, so let's go to downloads. Here's our pacman.zip. Okay, so we've got pacman.zip, okay? And if you guys remember last time, I just I confirmed that I got good ROM data by using the Romident website, and we're going to do that again. So here's my Pac-Man files on the desktop here. So we're going to go to Romident here, and we're going to go to Choose File. Okay, and we're going to check the 5E and the 5F that we just downloaded, and make sure that these are the right ROMs and they come up in Romident, and they do. Okay, and it says that this ROM is compatible with the following. It's Pac-Man, Pac-Mod, Pac-Man F, Pac-Man F, Pac-Man Midway, which is what we're using, new Puck-X, and Hangly Man. Okay, so that means that 5E is the right file for our board. And now let's also, just for the heck of it, check 5F. And we're going to go ahead and submit that. And so we're concerned with Pac-Man Midway. And yes, this 5F file is also compatible with Pac-Man Midway, which is pacman.zip, which is what the other 4 ROMs are that we have. Okay, so we've got the files now. So now we need to burn 2 ROMs. So I'm going to go ahead and transfer these files over to my old PC, and we're going to get ready to burn some ROMs. Alright guys, so I'm booting into DOS here, and before I can do anything though, I need some blank EPROMs so we can burn this new Pac-Man character ROM data. And actually, I don't have any 2532s on hand, and that's the type of EPROM this thing takes. It's a 2532. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase these and we're going to burn over them. You know, they're just Miss Pac-Man ROMs. Dime a dozen. I could recreate these 1,000 times over. So I'm just going to pop these off the board. And I wish I don't have my good screwdriver down here. Arg. I have like my magical screwdriver that I use for popping ROMs, and it's in the garage. Let's see if I can get away with this one. Yeah, I'm gonna go get my good screwdriver. One sec. Alright, I have my magical screwdriver. I love this screwdriver. It is the greatest ROM popping screwdriver ever. And it's just got like a nice kind of sharp point that you can wedge underneath here. And it never lets me down. Look at that. It's like butter. And whenever I lose that, I kind of freak out. Okay, so we have to erase these ROMs. And to erase them, we need to remove these stickers, okay? Because these are covering the windows that we need to hit with UV light. So let's see if we can kind of just peel these guys off. And of course, you know, sometimes these stickers are really stubborn. Arg. I'm kind of excited to see some real Pac-Man on that thing. All right, so we got one sticker off. And sometimes, not always, I'll use a little Goo Gone on there if I feel that the window is just too cloudy from the adhesion, from the adhesive. Like this one's really stubborn. Let's see if I can get it off with my nail. But yeah, the glue on this paper it just gets so old and brittle, and just the paper and the glue become one. And of course, I'm being careful that I don't break any EPROM legs. Because I don't want to break any more legs. Alright, we're making some progress here. Let's see if you can see that. So we're just trying to reveal this window so we can hit the little element in there with the UV light, which is going to essentially erase all the data that is being stored on this EPROM currently. Now, it is not a good idea to erase original ROMs like this from a very rare game or something, but because this is a Miss Pac-Man and I'm not concerned at all about these EPROMs, I can recreate these anytime. So, and I'm just going to repurpose the chip. So that looks pretty good, and this window's a little cloudy with adhesive. See if I can rub some of it off. Yep, and I can. Okay, so we've got nice clean windows, and we're ready to erase these chips here. Okay, so we're going to erase them with the EPROM eraser. And my EPROM eraser is over here. And my friend Adam actually hooked me up with a new one. And It's a pretty cool one, actually. It's pretty deluxe. And but you can buy an EPROM eraser on eBay very inexpensively for about $10 from in Hong Kong, which is the one that I used to have. I actually gave that one away because Adam gave me this, and I kind of paid it forward and gave my old one away. So anyway, to erase the EPROMs, I already had 2 in here. We're just going to place the EPROMs in the little drawer with the window side face up, okay? And we're going to slide this in, and we are going to set our timer, oh, let's try about 12 minutes or so. And we're going to go ahead and press this button, okay? And you can see that light's on, okay? So we're going to let those EPROMs kind of bathe in some UV light for about 10-12 minutes, and then we'll come back and see if they're erased and if they're ready to be written with our Pac-Man data. So I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 10 minutes here. The EPROM eraser has stopped erasing, and now it's time to pull our EPROMs out. And these things have been bathing in UV light for about 10-12 minutes, and now it's time to make sure they are erased, okay? And so we need to go into our EPROM reader and writer software, okay? And I have that in my G directory, and it's in the EMP folder, and it's called EMP-10. Okay, so we're loading up our EMP-10 software here. And we're in. Okay, so the very first thing that we need to do is we need to select a device, okay? And we're basically telling the software, hey, what kind of chip do I have, okay? And so if we look at our chips here, we have two different brands of 2532, and I could tell the brand by the logo. You know, I recognize that right there as the Motorola logo, and I recognize that as the Hitachi logo. Okay, so we have a Motorola 2532 and a Hitachi 2532. So we actually have 2 different devices. Okay, so why don't we go ahead and do the Hitachi first? Okay, so we're gonna go select device, select Hitachi, select 2532, and it's initializing the programmer for that specific device and manufacturer. And now we want to go ahead and put our EPROM into our EPROM reader and writer. And when we insert it, you know, we want to kind of follow the picture here. We have the notch up, just like the picture, and the EPROM all the way on the bottom. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and lock it in. Okay, so we're all loaded up, and so the thing is ready. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that that's erased, because we want to make sure that our when we put that in the UV reader, were we successful in erasing it. So I'm going to go to number 2, verify the device is erased, and good, it is. Okay, I'm just going to verify it again. And okay, so we have an erased EPROM. So our EPROM, our UV light EPROM erasing session there was successful. Okay, so now we've got an erased ROM, and now we need a file. Okay, now when you're in this software, the Needhams EMP-10 software, it's not very obvious how you load a file, because you think you just go to number 8 here, load file from disk. No, sorry, it says you need to specify a file you want to load. So when you're loading from disk, you're actually loading the file that you select with V, okay, into the buffer, okay? And so we're going to go into our ROM folder, and we're going to go into our other ROMs, and we're going to go ahead and into our Pac-Man folder, and we're going to select 5E first, which is the first one we need. Okay, so here's all our Pac-Man ROMs, and I need 5E, so we're going to select that, and it says down here that we have that ready to come into memory. And now we're going to press 8, and we're going to load file from disk, and it has successfully loaded that file into the buffer. Okay, so now the gun is loaded, and now we're ready to fire it. We just put that ammunition into the gun, Pac-Man.5e. It's loaded into memory. And now we're going to program our ROM. The first option here, program with selected algorithm. And when we select our devices, it changes all these settings over here. Buffer offset, device range, checksum. There's some voltages. So there's very specific settings that are part of the algorithm when you're programming to a certain device and also a certain device by manufacturer. So we're going to go ahead and program. It gives you a warning, blah, 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 hit control. Okay, so we are now programming that EPROM. And sometimes it takes a a while. Sometimes it doesn't. It depends on how new the chip is. This is a pretty old chip, these 2532s. These are from like, 1980 or something. So it seems like the older the chip, the longer it takes, in my experience. The new chips, it seems like you can write much more aggressively when you select them with the software. So this could take a minute or two. I'm wondering if I should pause this. Others were just kind of sitting here watching this. Is this fun? I don't think so. Alright, come on, load. I think we're gonna pause because I think this could take a couple minutes. So I'm gonna pause this and we'll be right back. Okay, I think I was wise pausing that there because it actually took a couple minutes, and it says here device successfully programmed. What I always like to do is just verify. And by the way, when you verify an EPROM from a file that's in memory, okay, so we have this Pac-Man ROM in memory, okay, and so we can verify this, the file that's in memory, to see if it matches the EPROM, okay. So if I go verify device equals the buffer or the memory, it says yes, it does. Okay, so that ROM was successfully programmed. Now, what we did just there, though, you can also do with EPROMs from a board if you're wondering if they're good or bad. Now, when we did it earlier, we used Romident to do that. And the reason I think Romident is actually a better idea is because you don't always know what version of a ROM that you have, because there's sometimes many different revisions. And so Romident's going to give you more of a clue what's actually really on there. Otherwise, you're just kind of grabbing random MAME files and hoping that the files that are in that zip file actually match what's on your board. And sometimes you'll get false negatives because it'll say that the ROM doesn't match the file, but in reality, you just had the wrong version. So, but you can also check ROMs on a board by loading a MAME ROM into memory, like this Pac-Man 5E, and then comparing it to the EPROM that's in the reader, and you'll get that. But again, it's not always the safest way to proceed, because there are sometimes, a lot of times, many different revisions of ROMs. Okay, so we've burned a 5E, and I'm going to take my trusty label maker here, and I'm going to just make a little label that says 5E, just so there's no question where, if I can, let's go ahead and delete all this. All right, so 5E, and we're going to hit print. And I'm just going to throw this little 5E label on my EPROM. So let's go over here and grab it. And we're just going to put it there. And I'm just going to take my little label and stick it on. And this kind of serves two purposes. We're going to cover the window. So if this board was ever exposed to UV light, it'll be protected by our little label. And also now we know what it is. It's a 5E. So we're going to go ahead and just put this over here on the board, and I'll install it after I get both of them burned. Okay, so now it's time to do 5F, which is the other chip. And by the way, if you're ever confused, usually on the board, on this board in particular, it says 5E and 5F. So 5E is going to go here, and 5F is going to go there. So now we have to change devices, because the last device we did was a Hitachi, and our next one is actually a Motorola. So, so we're going to go here and select device, and we are going to select, let me kind of get a little closer here. We're going to select Motorola, and this is a 2532, and it's initializing the programmer. And so now it's all set up for a Motorola 2532, and we're going to go ahead and stick this in our EPROM eraser, observing polarity. The notch goes up, the chip goes to the bottom, and we got to make sure every single leg is in here, because we saw what happened to me before. I had a bent leg, and the reader just didn't know what was going on with it, and you get corrupted data and bad writes and bad reads. So we've got all the chips in there. We're going to lock it down, and so now we have to do it again. What we did last time, we're just going to load our file into memory. So we're going to go V and go back to our Pac-Man directory and select 5F. Okay, and I'm going to say 8, load file from disk. Good. And just do it again. I don't know why. I'm always like nervous that it didn't actually take. And then we're going to do the same thing. Program with selected algorithm. Actually, I want to verify the device is erased because I didn't do that. We have not checked this one. Ah, it's not erased. All right. Well, you know what? We gotta put this guy back into our little UV containment center here, and let's make sure that everything's in there, and it is. Okay. So we're just gonna throw it back in here for about maybe 5 minutes, and hopefully that'll kill it. And you know, if you do this too long, I think you can potentially kill the EPROM, okay? And you're not always guaranteed that the EPROM is going to actually get erased properly. Sometimes these EPROMs are just old and they don't want to be reused, you know, and that's happened to me before. I've had to go on and find other ones. So so it's not a guarantee that we're going to be able to reuse this, and if we can't reuse it, I'm kind of hosed because I don't have any other 2532s, I don't think, laying around. I might have to look at some boards. So anyway, okay, let's let that thing sit in there for about a few minutes, and then we'll come back and check it again to see if it's erased yet. All right, it's been a few minutes here, and I don't really want to overdo it, so I'm going to just... Oh, actually, it just stopped. Okay, so we're going to pull it out, and let's just check it out again. And I sure hope this ROM is usable. So let's come back here and let's verify if this is erased or not. All right, please be erased. Verify erased. Oh man, I hope I can reuse this one. All right, I'm gonna just try it a couple more minutes because at this point I don't really have a choice. I gotta push it a little bit here. So let's try it for a couple more minutes. All right, we're gonna just let it keep going. And I'm gonna start looking around for some more ROMs. Okay, a few more minutes has passed, and let's try this again. And you better be erased. Okay, let's try this one more time. Please, please, please be erased. Oh, fuck. So yeah, I think that I've got a bad EPROM here, and this thing did not survive the erasing. What should I do? I'm just gonna hit it with more UV light. I just don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna do it, to be honest. I think that this chip is just old, and it was on its last legs, and I don't think it can handle the trauma here. But I'm gonna do it a little bit longer, and let's just see if we can come up with something here. And in the meantime, I'm gonna start looking around for some chips. All right, it's been like 5 minutes, so let's see what happens here. I'm not optimistic right now at this point because it usually doesn't take this long, and if it does, it means the EPROM is crap. All right, let's go ahead and check it out again. Look at that. All right, so yeah, I guess the drama was for nothing. Okay, it's erased. It was just a little stubborn, that's all. Oh, good, because I didn't really feel like running out to my friend's house or something to get one of these. That's very... Oh, yeah, it's so erased. Okay, so we need to... Let's do this again. I got to load Pac-Man.5F into memory. And we're going to press 8, load file from disk. It's loaded into buffer. And now program with selected algorithm. Fuck! No, this ROM is hosed. As soon as it started writing, it quit. So yeah, this EPROM is bad. I need to go get one. So luckily I have friends with parts. So let me work on this, and we'll be right back. Alright guys, I actually just got off the phone with my friend Adam, so we're going to head over to Adam's place, and actually Adam is the guy from onecircuit.com, and he does a lot of little add-on boards and arcade things, you know, parts and coin-up things that you can install to make any game free play, and he's also working on the pole position multi-board. So why don't we go over to Adam's, and he's going to hook me up with a 2532 EPROM. here, Adam. What are you doing?
Don't film this.
What are you doing? So you got an EPROM for me, buddy? All right.
My messy house.
I really appreciate this. I was in the middle of.
I see my kids, but you got so many projects. Come on in.
All right. All right. So we're going into Adam's little laboratory down here. And for you guys that don't know who Adam is, he has that website onecircuit.com, and you're working on your pole position clone, right?
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things. So you've got parts and parts and parts. So this is a good guy to know.
These came from a guy out in Eastern Mass who was into the repair business. He did televisions.
All these chips?
And a lot
parts?
of television stuff. He did other types of things. So a lot of it's
vacuum
television
tubes
related, and actually a lot of it's arcade related.
You got everything down here.
I got all sorts of stuff.
And so you've got a 2532 for me. Thank you.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of these or no?
I have quite a few. I have a few up here. Because I think they're used on, I can't remember, one Nintendo board, so it might be Donkey Kong.
I realized that I went through all my junk boards and nothing had these. It was all 2716s and 2732s.
Punch-Out actually had a time where they did nothing but 2564s, and then they moved over to 2764s. So I had to grab a few as I repair those.
So can we have like a sneak peek of the pole position thing or no?
Yeah, I can bring down my...
if not, don't worry about it. It's a big hassle.
I can bring down my thing and plug it in. It'll boot right up.
All right, do you mind?
No, I'll get it.
All right, cool. Can we poke around here a little bit? He's got all kinds of cool, fun test equipment down here. You know, this little fluke thing here. You plug this into a Z80, and you can kind of diagnose the board that way. And he's got a little test bench and Sanyo 20EZ over there. He's got a old Commodore monitor, which has 15K sync, so you can use that with the old arcade boards and a Hewlett-Packard logic analyzer and all that good stuff. We gotta like come down here and do like a real video one time. Like, let's go visit Adams. And here's my Tron boards. So when I'm over my head, sometimes I come over here and Adam helps me.
I mean, you've helped me out a ton in the past too.
Yeah. And Adam is working on a pole position clone. Okay, it's going to be a drop-in replacement on FPGA. It's not emulation. It's running off the original CPU, right?
Yes. And
this is going to be a drop-in board. Basically, you're going to be able to get rid of all your old crappy pole position boards that have burnt-up edge connectors and has, you know, stupid power and ground mods, and replace it with this board when he gets done. Now, this is a little dev board he has.
Right.
It's not going to look like this when he gets done. It's going to be a much smaller form factor. But he's just using this to develop the game. So he's going to boot it up here, and we can kind of see his progress. He's actually reverse engineered a lot of the Namco customs, which is not trivial by any means.
Yeah, this is the stock hardware. It comes like this. There's a
slideshow.
There's a design that's already built into here, and it's for demonstration purposes. This was a set-top box development kit for people who wanted to create their own, like the Roku and the kind of variants like that.
So you're using this as a dev kit?
Yep, pretty much. And so there's two chips under here. One actually I designed to be an interface between the arcade hardware, the RGB out, and the sync and all that, and then it converts that into a signal that the LCD could understand. So that's kind of tucked under here. You can't really see it. And then on this FPGA here is the actual pole position design. And so let me just dig it up here.
So he's going to load that from his computer onto this, through this interface cable, I imagine. So how far away do you think you are from releasing this?
The design is, I would say, probably like 90% there. I mean,
great.
There's two little problems that I'm dealing with, and you'll see it. I'll show it to you. One is the let's program the LCD driver first. Yeah, the two problems you'll see are the cars. There's like a big split down the middle, so the graphics are kind of messed up a little bit.
Right.
And then the other issue is the road logic. You'll see there's some anti-aliasing that is not correct, and so there's quite a bit of work to be done there. But I suspect I'm really close. And thankfully, I have an actual working pole position board set to kind of go off of, and so that's huge. If I didn't have that, I think I'd be completely lost. So you can see how the whole thing is gone. And so the computer is actually taking the design and loading it into the FPGA.
Gotcha.
So there's 2 steps here because there's 2 FPGAs.
Adam, let me ask you a question, because
Sure.
I never know how to explain FPGA, because it's not emulation,
Right.
it's simulation.
No, so the best way to describe it is like, let's say that you wanted to build a house of Legos.
Yeah.
Now, one way to do it would be to draw a picture of what you wanted the house to look like, and then go onto Lego's website and individually buy every single little block that you would need.
Yep.
And when they come in, you build your house.
Yeah.
The other way to go about it would be just buy a huge tub of Legos, massive tub, dump them on the floor, and build a house.
Yeah.
In the end, you end up with the exact same results. And so in the old days, when Namco decided to design this game, they drew their schematic, every little logic gate they had in mind. Then they had to go out and buy the TTL parts that had those logic gates inside of them, and then put it together.
Right, right.
And with this FPGA, you basically have thousands and thousands of logic gates inside there, just sitting there. And you can hook them up any which way you want. You can see, like, before we had the demo, and now I'm rewiring them to basically be an exact copy of the pole position hardware.
I gotcha. So it's just like, I'm kind of a layman when it comes, like, it's like and/or logic and stuff.
And gates, or gates, latches, and muxes.
Right, so it's just, if this happens, then go over here. If this happens, go over here. Like that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
Which is what the board's doing with transistors and stuff like that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So I basically just started with the pole position schematics, which luckily Atari was nice enough to release, and then step by step rewrote that in a format where the FPGA would understand.
Yeah.
And then just through trial and error and working through all the bugs and whatnot, just getting it all working.
Sweet. And so right now you're sending the program over. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, we programmed the smaller one here, which is the LCD driver, and then this massive one here is the one that has all of the pole position logic in it. Okay. And so it was kind of a bear because there's 3, it's a multi-CPU system, there's a Z80 and then there's 2 Z8002s. And then there's, like you said, there's a ton of Namco customs. It seems like just about every single one that they made ended up on that board set.
Wow.
And so
how many of them did you have to reverse engineer?
Probably about close to 10. There's a couple other guys. There you go. You can see it booting
okay, so here we go. He just loaded the program, and so you can see it's booting and the game's running.
Yeah.
That's some exciting crap. But, you've got little issues here, but...
Yeah, you can see the cars.
Yeah, you're split,
in between the middle.
but you're so close.
Oh, yeah. And you can see the anti-aliasing with the road.
Yep. And so this drop-in board is going to have pole position 1 and pole position 2.
Right.
And the most exciting part of this board is that I'm going to be doing the interface.
Which would save me a ton of time. So I'm very grateful for you to help me out with that.
So I'm going to be helping out with this. And so, Adam will have this stuff available on his site, onecircuit.com. And probably within the next year.
Oh, yeah. After making this, headway that we made recently, though. Yeah, it's getting very close. I mean, once the hardware is pretty much all set, then it just go on to laying out a PCB and having you do the front end while I do that, and then we should be getting there pretty close.
Sweet.
So.
All right, man. Well, let's head back to the basement. And Adam, thank you for this chip, man.
Sure, anytime.
Really appreciate it. Bye.
All right, guys, we are back from Adams, and Adam, thank you so much, pal, for this EPROM. All right, so here we are. We now have, I hope, a good EPROM so we can burn this 5F chip. And looking at the EPROM Adam gave me, it's also Hitachi, and it's a 2532. So let's go ahead and select Hitachi 2532, and let's go ahead and put this in our EPROM burner / reader. I'm hoping this chip's already erased. I'm not sure if this is a new old stock chip or if it's a pool from a board. So let's put it in there, and let's go to here and verify device is erased. All right, good. So we've got a nice erased chip there. Let's go ahead and load our file again. Whoops. Darn it. I don't understand why this list is not alphabetical, because I thought I was clever naming my ROM folder 1_ROM, thinking it would show up on the top of the list, and it doesn't. So, all right, other ROMs. And it always shows, like, the newest file on the bottom, Pac-Man. And, of course, we need 5F. And let's load the file into buffer. I'm just gonna do it again to be safe. And okay, let's go. Number 1, program with the selected algorithm. And there you go. It's starting to write the data to our hopefully good EPROM that Adam gave us. And so I guess we'll just sit here for a little bit and make sure it's, there we go, it's starting to write, good. Okay, so I'm gonna let it go. It's probably gonna take 2-3 minutes because these EPROMs tend to be a little bit slow, these older ones. So I will be back when it is done writing. All right, guys, it's done programming. It says here, device successfully programmed. So let's go ahead and just verify it again. To verify device equals buffer. No, I do it one more time. Okay, so good. We have successfully written 5F, and I'm gonna go ahead and make a label for it so we know what the heck it is. And I'm just gonna call it 5F. And we're gonna throw this on there, and then we're gonna put our EPROMs on our board. And let's go ahead and get ready to do that. So hopefully after we install this board now with the correct character ROMs, we will get a very nice and pure Pac-Man experience and no distorted EPROMs, no distorted characters. Okay, let's throw this bad boy on here. Okay, so 5E is right here. And we just want to put these in here and make sure we're not bending any legs and all the legs are getting into the holes on the socket. Okay, and we also want to make sure that they're going the right direction. You can see here on the socket there's a notch on the top, and all the other chips around it also have the notches on the top, so that's kind of a good clue. Now this chip has never been installed, and you can see the legs are kind of going out. And what I tend to do is I tend to take the chip here and I put it on the table, and I just kind of go like that and just bend them all in a little bit, and that will kind of help the chip go into the socket. And I'm just putting all the legs on the table and bending it in. And let's see if it goes in. Yeah, it doesn't. They don't want to go in. I'm going to bend them just a little bit more, because when they're new, they're just kind of spread out. There we go. All right. So I'm just making sure all the legs are in the holes before I push down. And they are. Okay, so I'm just kind of inspecting my work, making sure there's no legs hanging out or anything. And I think that this Pac-Man is now ready to go into the cabinet. And let's see if we've got Pac-Man and not some distorted Miss Pac-Man sprites. So let's go to the garage. Alright guys, we're in the garage here, so let's put the board in the cabinet here, and let's see what happens, and I suspect we're going to be doing just fine. So, these daughter cards are coming off the board here. You just got to be careful when you're handling this board that these little daughter cards don't come off. They come off pretty easily. They're just like these big kind of things that are hanging on you know, in these sockets, and it's just really easy to kind of hit them and have the legs pop out. Okay, so let's make our edge connector connection like so. And remember, the board was resetting before because the harness, the edge connector harness, there's something wrong with it. There's a loose connection, so we might have to kind of manually go in there and wiggle the edge connector till the game comes on. So, all right, let's plug it in and let's see what happens here. And hopefully we've got some Pac-Man. Come on, come on, come on. Monitor's warming up. And so she's still resetting. Okay, I hope you guys can see that. So I'm going to go in here and just take my hand and I'm going to just wiggle the edge connector a little bit to see if I can get the connection that I need to make the board boot. And there we go. So there must be some wire. Okay, so there you go. All of our characters look good. We've got the ghosts before. Those are all distorted, weird characters. And it looks like we did a good job here and the game's working. So I gotta adjust this monitor because it's out of whack. So let's let me set up the tripod here and let's coin up a game and see how it works. But that monitor really needs to be adjusted. I think I'm gonna turn off the light that's above the game here because it's kind of distracting. All right, let's coin up and see what happens. Ah, I love that sound. All right, good. So, besides the monitor being crooked and skewed there, I don't know what's up with that. It looks like it's working perfect. We've got Pac-Man. Don't you just love those sounds? Like, seriously. That is the sound of the arcade. I mean, can any other game be more iconic sounding than that? All right, cool. So, I think that's it. We could adjust the monitor if we want. Maybe we can see if we get the monitor picture a little bit better. Yeah, why don't we do that real quick? See if I could put it on service. And, all right, good. Is it like, I think that service switch is a little weird. Okay, so the monitor, the picture is like too high, and there's adjustments on the back of the monitor here that actually I can't read the labels of them, so we're gonna have to kind of do this carefully. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to show you guys this very easily, but if you look down here, let me just kind of show you guys all the monitor adjustments, and this is kind of a hard thing to show while I'm doing it, but here are the R, G, and B adjustments there, and there's also two other ones on the other side that I think are red and blue, or maybe blue and green, or red and green. There's two of them. They're the drive, okay? And then over here on the chassis, we've got these little pots right here, and those are different adjustments, and if I could read them, vertical height, horizontal frequency, horizontal center. Oh no, this is a stupid Geo7, man. That picture's not going to come down, is it? Vertical height, vertical lin, and looks like horizontal hold is that guy right there. And I sure hope when I adjust these that we can get a good picture. Now you can see these types of little knobs, you actually need to stick something in there. And what I use is these. These are TV alignment tools, and it's a 3-piece anti-static TV alignment tool set. And you could buy this at Radio Shack, and I paid 97 cents for these. These are actually hard to find because they were 97 cents because they were putting them on clearance, and so I basically bought a whole bunch of these because they're actually really handy. So this little tool right here is what I use to make my adjustments on these pots. So it just kind of sticks in here, and this tool was designed really specifically to go into this type of little pot. So, okay, what I'm going to do, I think, I'm just going to put the camera on the monitor, I think, and then I'm going to make the adjustments, and we're going to kind of look at the monitor together while I'm making the adjustments, and hopefully we can get this picture in a good spot. And I'm not too confident because the horizontal width thing, the horizontal position is changed with a little dip switch thing, and so it's pushed up, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix this with the pots, but let's give it a shot. All right, so I'm down here, and I'm just kind of I'm just going to go through each pot and see what they're doing to the monitor and just keep adjusting it. So that one is definitely not one I want to mess with. Oh, there we go. That one. Good. So that one was able to move the picture down, and it's actually nice and centered now. It's a little crooked though. I think that's the yoke. Let's see what this one does. This one's adjusting the width, okay? And let's wait till the screen comes on. And let's see if we can get a nice centered picture on here. And then also keep in mind that the plastic bezel, okay, so we're getting cut off here on that side. So I think we're going to be right about there. And let's go into the next pot over and see what that one does when I turn it. And okay, that one is that one doesn't do anything critical.
That's a hold pot, and so we're okay. And then the next one here is this. And this one, there we go. This one's kind of making it a little more centered. Well, that's looking okay. It's not quite straight. It's okay. The picture's a little crooked, but it's a little bit. It's definitely better than it was. See if I can play with that pot a little bit more. And the pot I'm moving, I think, is labeled horizontal position. I can't really see what they're labeled because they're just way in there, and the text is real small. But you can see we have a little bit of a convergence issue down here. You can see how the red is poking out behind the white. Actually, you can see a little red and a little green, and we adjust that with the purity rings. And I don't think I'm going to do that right now. Actually, can I get to them easily? Yeah, I don't think we're going to do that right now, but that picture's pretty good. It looks like I might need to be a little degaussing. I think after we adjust the convergence, the colors are going to be actually a lot sharper and poppier, so I think that's it, guys. I think that we are definitely done for today. I'm feeling pretty good. The monitor looks presentable. It's not perfect, but it's not bad, and I think we're done. So this is the end of part number 3 of the Pac-Man restoration, and it's been a long journey, hasn't it? You know, I don't, you know, we had some missteps, right? We had some, you know, but I was trying things. I was trying to figure this out, you know, because I'm trying to do this by deduction, and I do a lot of stuff by deduction. I don't like how that's crooked there. This monitor is whacked. Let me see if I can straighten that out. Yeah, this monitor's got some weird geometry error problems. I don't like how that like curves. See that? Look at this side, how it's straight. It's like the whole thing just kind of goes up like that. But anyway, so what I was saying was, you know, we had some missteps in this video, right? We went down some paths that didn't get us results, and I'm okay with that, quite frankly, because it's part of this learning experience. You know, I'm learning stuff every day. I've never had a Pac-Man. I mean, I've had a Miss Pac-Man, but I've never had to work on one. I don't know anything about this game until I got it, and I used the internet to research and read documents, and because there's guys that have been down this road who are far smarter than me, that have documented these games, and you just got to find this information out there on the internet because it is out there, okay? And at the end of the day, we ended up fixing this game by wiggling the harness. Now, nothing could have predicted that, okay? That was just like weird because I got lucky, quite frankly. Eventually, I probably would have gotten there because my plan was to replace that edge connector anyway. But that was something that, you know, I wouldn't normally think that would be causing what was happening because it sure seemed like a PCB issue. But anyway, we still learned some stuff. You know, I got to show you guys the Romident stuff and all that, which is all important stuff to know when you're trying to fix these games. So anyway, that is definitely it for this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. So why don't we go back down to the basement? And by the way, I'm getting pretty damn excited here. I cannot wait to keep working on this because I'm starting to see, you know, the light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, here's a working game, and I see what it's going to look like in the basement. So let's turn the lights off. Let's see how the game looks in the dark. I gotta get the right marquee though. All right, now this is in the dark here, so let's see how it looks. It looks pretty damn sharp, actually. The monitor actually looks pretty good in the dark. I gotta say, that's not a bad picture. Now, I did adjust the yoke off camera, and I can show you guys that later, but I did straighten the picture out a little bit. It's still not perfect. It has a little bit of a curve on the right side, but it's much straighter. And in general, that's a pretty solid picture. The colors are pretty great. So, pretty happy, guys. I cannot wait to get this into the basement. I really cannot wait to get this into the basement. So I'm feeling very motivated right now. I need to kick some ass on this. And also, in the last day here, I found a source for vinyl on eBay that is in Hong Kong that my friend Fetish Boy from my podcast, Arcade Outsiders, he actually used this company too in Hong Kong. And I think I found the same exact company on eBay. But they have vinyl like this for about
40 bucks is how much it would cost to get enough vinyl to do the cabinet. And I ordered some samples, and I should hopefully will have those in a week here, and maybe we can find a really good match and I can order that vinyl from Hong Kong instead of spending the $240 for the 3MD knock. So anyway, that's it for part number 3 of the Pac-Man Cabaret Restore. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I'm really happy where this video is ending this week. I have to say, I feel much better with the game working. So, you know, last video, a little anticlimactic with the broken leg, but I think we made up for it this week. We did go down some roads that didn't go anywhere, but it's okay. But anyway, it was a big learning experience, and that's it for this video. Why don't we go back down to the basement? Man, I still need a Pac-Man Cabaret, a regular Pac-Man marquee. So, all right, whatever. Goodbye. Let's go in the basement. All right, guys, there you have it. That was part number 3 of the Pac-Man Cabaret Restore. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm very happy how that ended. Thank God that game is working, and I know exactly now what's wrong with it and how to make it stable. So in the upcoming video here, we're probably going to start focusing on the electronics there with the edge connector and the fuse blocks and the wiring and all that, and we're going to get this game rock solid. And once it's rock solid, man, we're going to start tearing that thing apart, and we're going to restore that, and I hope to be getting new vinyl pretty soon. So I look forward to part number 4. Again, thanks for subscribing to my little channel. I release new videos every Sunday, and sometimes in between. I'm trying to do twice a week. It's actually it's kind of hard, because if I do a long video, it actually ties up my computer for a couple days, because these videos are pretty voluminous, and it takes like 12 hours to bounce it out of iMovie. So you know, if I do shorter videos, it's easy to do twice a week, but if I do long ones, it sometimes takes me 3 days, 4 days to get them out. So I'll try my best, but so anyway, thanks for subscribing. You know, if you want to keep up with the videos, you got to click that subscribe button. New videos every week. Check out my website, John's Arcade. We have a very active forum over there. So if you want to talk to me during the week, that is actually the best place to talk to me. If you've got questions about games, if you want to ask me questions about anything in particular, go to johnsarcade.com and click on the forum button and register and go in there and chat with all the great people. And I hope to see you there, actually. And other than that, check out my podcast, Arcade Outsiders, at arcadeoutsiders.com. We do it live every Tuesday at allgames.com. And then we also do Video Game Outsiders too. So anyway, enough plugging. I know there's so much going on though. I want you guys to know about all of it. So anyway, all right, we'll see you later. Thanks for subscribing, and later, goodbye.